What's going on, everybody? This is Dave and welcome back to another Football Manager 2018 experiment here on my YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the like button down below and smash the subscribe button if you haven't already, because today we have got an exciting brand new Football Manager experiment, one that I did last year as well, where every non-league conference team in England has £1 billion. So we did this last year and it came out with some interesting results, but this year I'm going to be sort of splitting it into more than one part. So straight away, what we've done, as you can see, we've got the Vanarama National League, and if we go up to National League, we chucked £1 billion into all of these clubs from the National League here, the North and the South as well. So all of these have got £1 billion to spend, and it will be very, very interesting to see how it goes, how teams rise, what players they bring in, and so on. I think when we did it last year, Aldershot reached, all the way up into the heights of the Premier League straight away. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this gets going. We're going to skip forward about 5 years in today's video. We're going to be doing a part 2 as well, so make sure you keep your eyes out for that one. And also in the comment section down below, let me know any sort of leagues that you'd like to see this in as well, or different nations. And we'll sort that out for the next couple of weeks or so. So here we are at the end of the the 2017-18 season, and we're going to be seeing who had gone up from the Vanarama National League. So as you can see, a couple of teams have moved around and so on. We're going to go to the stages here, and we'll see that Gateshead and Aldershot were the teams that got promoted. Now, Aldershot were the team that did well last time, and Gateshead now are the team that have done well as well. Now, transfer-wise, not massive money was spent, to be honest. I thought maybe a little bit more money was spent than this in the National League. A couple of million has been spent, though, but not huge amounts. So Thomas O'Connor goes from Southampton to Guiseley, and Isaac Vassell from Blues to Dagenham Red are probably the main ones there. A couple of other players, but maybe, Darren Gibson, that's a good buy for Maidstone. And, Stephen Corker as well. A couple of decent players. Maidstone really bulking out the team with some decent players there. And if we quickly go back onto the stages, Maidstone, where did they finish? To be fair, they finished 18th. So Gateshead, who won the league, let's see if they've got any. They've got Nile Ranger, but no real massive players there, to be honest, of note. So they did quite well on a decent budget there. We'll move down now to the North. If we go back onto stages again and we move down, Kidderminster and Chorley won that league. So let's see what the transfers were like in that division there. A bit more money was actually spent here. Nuneaton brought in Jamal Hector Ingram from West Ham. A couple of million was spent overall, but again, not massive amounts. It's a little bit strange, actually. Ashley Cole came in. He went to Tamworth in the end, which is a bit of a funny free agent signing. But other than that, not massive amounts of money was spent. We'll go down to the South now. And again, just no money at all, which is really, really strange. Bradley House came in from West Brom to Hampton and Richmond, but that was about it. The teams that went up from that division were Whitehawk and Hampton and Richmond. So Whitehawk had a really good season. So not massive signings there, which is very, very interesting indeed. But the team that have gone up stayed is obviously Gateshead and Aldershot, as we said. So Gateshead now, Steve Watson in charge. This season, again, they've only just signed Nile Ranger, to be fair. So last season, they literally relied on free transfers and loans, and they won the league quite comfortably, to be honest. So it'll be interesting to see if they spend any more money in League 2. As a team that didn't really spend much, I'd assume, the FA Cup-wise, they probably didn't do too well. Yeah, they were knocked out in the first round anyway. So I think that first season is a little bit of an anticlimax, really. Not much has happened there. So we'll skip forward another year, and hopefully we start seeing some big money being spent. So we're here now at the end of the 18-19 season, and it's time to see if any of these teams have started spending a little bit more money. We're going to go back onto National League again to see if there has been any big transfers. So the holders this season were Ebbsfleet. The Vanarama National League has moved up to one of the best reputable leagues. That is what you do have to do. All of this has been done on the normal pre-game editor. And the two teams that went up, Maidstone, who I tipped last season to possibly go up, and Ebbsfleet as well. So some of the teams that actually came down from League 2 have gone down as well, I believe. I believe Morecambe would have been in League 2, would they not? Yeah, they got successive relegations. So my guess is that people have started to spend a little bit of money. So let's go and have a look. Transfer-wise, yeah, last season, wow. So, Chester signed a guy for 50 million, Mason Mount. He's in-game, he's a player. He's definitely not worth 50 million. That is ridiculous. Angel Di Maria went to Whitehall. Dimitri Payet went to Ebbsfleet. Ronaldo Vieira, who plays at Leeds in real life, must have gone to Newcastle. He's gone to Eastleigh for 40 million. Lucas Moura, Diafra Sakho, Memphis Depay. That's Whitehall doing some big business there. So how did Whitehall get on again? Because obviously they were after two promotions on the trot. They didn't actually do that brilliantly, if I'm honest. But there has been some absolutely massive players coming in. Obviously, you can pause the video to stop at any point to see if you can see any of these players. But some big transfers in that league now. Obviously, we go up to League 2 again to see how a couple of teams did. League 2-wise, Lincoln and Accrington went up in the end. Aldershot, whereabout didn't Aldershot go up? I believe. Or am I thinking of something else? Aldershot. Obviously not. Which is a bit strange. Oh yeah, they did. I'm being completely blinded. Aldershot finished 11th. But Gateshead, who won the league, are currently sat in 7th place. They just missed out on Aldershot as well. So I'd assume, well, I would have thought they would have got sort of consecutive promotions and stuff. But Gateshead just didn't spend, well, did they spend any money? Well, they spent 6.5 million. But not really on big players, if I'm honest. And they didn't bring much in either. And I'd assume the same is sort of for Aldershot as well, which is a little bit strange, who I'd thought would start spending some money. They've got Tony Pulis as manager now, and they spent a decent amount, but not sort of on any key players there either. We'll move back down to the National League North this time. We go back a season. Leamington and Alfreton were the teams to go up in the end there. Transfer-wise, those are bringing in some big players. Maffio, again, 41.5 million to Curzon Ashton. Emerson Hyman came in from Bournemouth. Callum McManaman, again, some decent players moving around. Dominic Iorfa went to Curzon Ashton as well. So some decent players there. And then we go on to the South League again. If we go on to stages, and we go back, St Albans and Braintree were the teams to go up there. St Albans hitting almost 100 points. And again, some big signings. 77 million. St Albans signed Andreas Pereira. No wonder they won the league. They're starting to spend their cash. Brought in Badu and Dai as well. They brought in Britta Sombalonga. They brought in some real firepower there, St Albans. And no wonder they have got promoted. So we'll skip forward another year now. So big money is being spent. We'll quickly look at the FA Cup to see if any sort of the conference teams and so on were competitive in that from last season, if we can. Let's go for the final. Let's sort of work our way back. Third round with any teams in there then. So Alfreton were there. They got knocked out. Dagenham Red beat Wester-super-Mare, who were obviously also in it. Other than that, I thought a few more would be in it, but obviously not. We go on to the fourth round, and Dagenham Red won again, but Salford and Sutton got knocked out. So Dagenham Red were eventually knocked out in the fifth round. So conference teams doing a little bit better, but no better than maybe what I would have thought before. We could just go forward another year, and this is where teams are obviously going to be starting, hopefully, spending a bit more money. Some teams, especially the teams that have already been promoted, not doing so much at the moment. Obviously, there was a few teams sort of in League 2 where I would have thought maybe they would have spent a bit more. But let's see if we skip forward another year if they do any of that. So here we are then at the end of the 2019-2020 season now. And we're going to be looking at the conference and so on. But we're also going to be looking at League 2, where the title holders, as you can see, are now Ebbsfleet, who obviously did the business last season just gone. Ebbsfleet, Maidstone and Gateshead were the three teams to be promoted along with Walsall. Unfortunately, Aldershot missing out there as well. But three of the boys that were in the conference have all gone up. And wow, Ebbsfleet with 130 points and a plus 120 goal difference. They must have spent some big money. They must have done. So let's quickly check out the transfers. Last season is where we want to be. The end of the 19-20 season. And to be honest, I expected bigger money. But obviously not. Dominic Calvert-Lewin went to Hamilton Waterlooville. A lot of them are out, to be honest, if you have a look. Players coming out of this team and players going out altogether. So let's have a look at the players. Ebbsfleet must have signed some big players, right? If you go last season, they spent 30 million and it was spread out quite evenly, to be honest. Tim Ream, Gary Cahill, but no one sort of massive there. But they sold £65 million worth of players. Calvert-Lewin left, Jack Wilshere left, but they won the league so comfortably. To be fair, though, they spent 178 million the year before. They were the team that brought in Payet, Moira, and so on. So they've still got some real firepower there. And I'd assume had a massive season last time out with Moira, Origi, Van Ginkel. They've got some massive players. So it's a strong season for Ebbsfleet. We're going to go to League One, though, where obviously a couple of the teams were last time out. I think one of them was, and that was Lincoln, who obviously struggled. They only just stayed up by 4 points, which is a little bit strange. Last season, they didn't spend anything. I really don't get it. If they just got rid of all their money straight away, were they in big debt, or because they've not really spent any money at all throughout this whole campaign, which is a little bit strange. So Lincoln just about staying in League One there. But now we'll go down to the conference and see if any more money has been spent. We go to last season. It's 101 points of Whitehawk, who have one of the teams that have spent their money obviously quite wisely. They've rose up the ranks quite quickly, and Eastleigh going up with them in the end. Transfer-wise, that season, Ben Berriton was a big signing from Leicester to Barrow. Just looking through again, Memphis jumping from a conference team. Tom Heaton coming down as well. Some big players, but a lot of them, as you can see now, are starting moving from one conference team to the other, which is quite funny, really. We go to the Vanarama League North. Again, a few players. I mean, Leo kind of went from United to Bradford, and then Bradford to Salford. So they made a little bit of a loss, actually, Bradford did on him. Well, we say that, but look, with the potential costs, it goes up a little bit more. So, again, big money being spent there. And then in the south as well, 76 million. Samuel Oakley. Some of these players, we've not even heard of, really. With big signings. Wanyama as well, making the jump. Tom Ince, Mignolet. But there's been so many decent little players. Seri as well, from Arsenal to Paul. If we go on to the stages, last season, Eastbourne and Bognor Regis were the teams that went up. And then last season in North, Spennymoor and Curzon Ashton will be the team that goes up. We'll skip forward another year, though. We'll see how teams are getting on. And hopefully it'll be a little bit more interesting now. We've got a few more teams going up the divisions in the Football League. So at the end of the 2020-2021 season, and it is time again to look at the Vanarama National League. And so, and as you can see, Ebbsfleet have brought in Steve Sidwell. Ebbsfleet are now in the Championship, so they must have been promoted again from League One. Now, it's a bit strange seeing Steve Sidwell, but he was one of the managers that has jumped into the conference. Wow, he's ridiculously good as a boss. He's ridiculously good. That is absolutely mental how good he is as a boss on this game. So, Ebbsfleet were one of the teams that obviously have come up to the Championship. Is there anyone else there that we can see that has made? Maidstone as well are there, which is quite good. Northampton as well are now in the Championship, which is crazy. They were in League One in real life, to be fair, so not too crazy because they've been jumping up and down. But obviously, stages of last season, I don't think any of them were in the Championship last term, were they? If you go down to League One, and Ebbsfleet and Maidstone, Ebbsfleet, wow, an unbeaten season in League One, 134 points. They didn't lose a single game, and they're winning games like 6-0, 5-0. That is ridiculous. Maidstone going up as well there. I'm not sure if any of these others. Lincoln having a slightly better season. They'll obviously go to League One as well. As a Maidstone, Ebbsfleet though, what a season. Steve Sidwell as boss though, he looks incredible. Spent 36 million. Again, spread out really well, and they brought in £40 million worth of players. No one in particular being massive, but you know what? They've not. Well, I was about to say they've not spent massive, but I keep forgetting. Ebbsfleet the team with some of the ridiculous players. Maidstone as well did really well. I said in the first season they spent quite well last term, and they certainly did. 92 million this term. Thomas Glover, you know, we're in a different season, aren't we? Anyway, this is the season we're in. Still spent 18 million. John Bostock coming in from Blythe. Still doesn't look too bad. A couple of decent players there. Maidstone do quite well overall. Moved out to League 2 now. The Holders of Whitehawk, who are one of the teams that have had a really good rise recently. They won the league. Again, unbeaten. 43 wins, 3 draws, 0 losses, 132 points. Aldershot went up along with Eastleigh as well. So some good seasons there. Transfer-wise, if we have a quick look from last season, Ronaldo Vieira, he left Eastleigh to go to Southampton. But again, dotted around, all big signings going in and out. National League last term, big money was spent. Again, not as big as we've seen, but still pretty good indeed. Alfreton obviously going up to the Football League there. If we go down to the North, 50 odd million was spent there. Again, other players, you know, Serge Aurier, Danny Ings coming down as well. Some decent players. I bet you some of the Football League teams, though, are absolutely loving this. Some of the amount of money they've been getting for some bang average players, really. Ian Atro went down to the Vanarama South, along with a couple of other players as well. But Havant and Waterlooville and Chippenham were the teams that will go into the National League, along with Tamworth and York as well. And then if we go to the National League, I believe we've already sort of seen Alfreton and Spennymoor were the teams that were going up. So some strong teams now. If we quick look at the is there any sort of current Football League teams that have slipped down slightly? I don't think. I'm not too sure. But so far, it's going well, and there's obviously Ebbsfleet with Sidwell now in charge are looking like the strong team that may well jump straight from the Championship now as well to the Premier League. We'll skip forward one more year to have a look, and then it'll definitely look like we might have to do a part 2 to see how this advances. So in the final season of the experiment, and now we're going to have a look. Lincoln are without a manager in League 1, so what happened there? Aldershot as well lost in the playoff final. So Lincoln actually finished bottom, which is quite surprising, really. They were one of the teams that sort of that were in the National League. You know what? Were Lincoln even under the influence of the money? I don't know what I'm on about. I kept saying Lincoln, and I honestly don't even think they were under the influence of some of this money. Ignore every part of this video where I mention Lincoln, please, because I'm obviously looking way too much into that. So ignore me. So we look again though. Gates and Eastleigh winning promotion from League 1, and I'm sure Maidstone, they lost in the playoff final. Ebbsfleet though, it was Ebbsfleet the team, they smashed it again. 108 points in the Championship. They'll be in the Premier League next season. They've got this guy Ben Acosta, who looks unreal. 36 league goals. He's American as well. He's on loan from Chelsea. He looks incredible. Even at LA Galaxy, he was smashing it. So Ben Acosta is one that we'll have to watch on this save. Ebbsfleet going up in the end. Maidstone there with them as well. So they're the two teams setting the standard at the moment. As I say, Aldershot lost in the League 1 player final, but Eastleigh and Gateshead will be going up. I think I kept getting Lincoln mixed up with Whitehawk. I'll make sure I have to edit every bit of Lincoln out that I can. League 2 wise, Spennymoor getting an instant promotion from there along with Alfreton. Spennymoor must have been a good season for them. They spent a bit of cash, but Brian McDermott is in as their boss. They brought in £163 million of players. Zach Clough, Marco Grujic. They spread it quite well, to be fair. Kyler Walker-Peters, some decent players. Sold £164. Signed £204 million worth of players the year before. Gunnagan. They got some big players, so it's a good season for them in League 2. Alfreton as well. So go down again. May as well. St Albans and Chorley will go up. And then Stockport and Chester down in 7th got promotion as well. Some good regens coming through now as well. And then in the South Division, Poole and Weston-super-Mare. Another quick final look at the transfers in this final season. 27.5 million up to 39.5 million was the biggest transfer in the South this season. In the North was 31 million, rising up to 47.5. Feel free to pause at any moment as well, guys. Jadon Sancho moving up to Wrexham. The National League, it was 29.5 million, potentially rising up to 49. League 2 was 22.5 million. Memphis moving over to Chorley. A lot of players leaving Alfreton and spending more, as you can see. From League 1, it was 33 million. It was a transfer from Villa to Gateshead. And in the Championship, it was 39 million. It was a player actually out to Man City, but Gateshead signed a player in from Aston Villa for 33 million. In the Premier League, 99 million. Kasper Dolberg over to Man City, which is incredible. A final quick look before we end this first part, though. We'll look at the FA Cup to see how the teams have got on. If we've found any, well, I don't suppose any of the winners. No, there haven't been any sort of teams yet. Ebbsfleet obviously got into the semis. They lost out to Southampton, so that's a great achievement for Ebbsfleet there. Macclesfield as well, which is a bit strange, into the 6th round. 5th round, there was Barrow as well. There's big teams, so teams are getting better, but in the next part, I'm sure we'll see some massive, massive teams coming to the Premier League with some big money being spent. But until next time, guys, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, let me know of any different leagues that you want to see, and until next time, I'll see you all very, very soon.